What's up, everyone? Welcome into a fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Jacqueline D'Agostino alongside Chris Hassel. We've had some time to kind of sit and think about the trade deadline. Sauce Gardner going to the Colts for not one, but 2 first-round picks. I was on the desk, Chris, with the one and only Pete Prisco when this all unfolded.
He was fired up about that.
Yeah, I want to read the quote directly. I don't want to mince any words. This is robbery. The Jets fleeced them. And then he gave credit to our old friend Rick Spielman.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Well, look, they gave up a lot.
Yeah.
But it makes them better this season.
Sure.
And that's clearly what they are going for. And the good news is Sauce has been cleared from concussion protocol, practicing for the second straight day in Indianapolis before the team heads to Germany to face the Falcons. Here's Sauce earlier this morning.
There's no pressure, you know. Obviously, they got access to the tape, so they know what I'm capable of doing. And that's what makes it much more special. It was less about the Jets wanting to trade me and more about the Colts wanting me to be here. So, you know, that's truly a blessing. And, you know, it's a great group of guys already here. And that's what makes it even more special, like a dominant offense, dominant defense. And, you know, I'm just grateful to be a part of something special that they were already building here. And, you know, I look to just add a lot on and off the field here.
Adding a lot on and off the field. It certainly was a very crazy trade deadline on Tuesday. Of course, Sauce Gardner being sent to the Colts for 2 first-round picks, and that was not the only move that the Jets did. Of course, they sent Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. The day really started with the Dallas Cowboys acquiring Logan Wilson from Cincinnati, and then we saw teams like the Jags and the Seahawks really bolster up that wide receiver room. Let's welcome in our very own Damien Harris here to talk about these potential new debuts for these players with new teams here, starting with Sauce Gardner, Dame. We have some kids that were crying on social media, and they have been sent some Colts jerseys, so maybe 2 new Colts fans for life, right? But we talked about it. Clear the concussion protocol is expected to play against Atlanta. So what is your expectation for Sauce here in this Indiana defense right here in Week 10?
Well, he obviously makes this defense better, but let's talk about something for a second, Jacqueline. Who is the real winner in this trade between the Colts and the Jets? It's Sauce Gardner. In my humble opinion, I know you didn't ask for it, nor he wasn't worth the money that he signed for, nor was he worth what was given up to acquire him. So not only did he just sign a big deal, now he's shipped and traded to a team that is so much better than the team that he was on, a chance to make it to a conference championship, maybe even make it to a Super Bowl. I mean, he improves that defense. And if you match the defense with the offense, Daniel Jones, the weapons they have on offense, they're winners here. So shout out to the Indianapolis Colts. They did what needed to be done. Now, again, they did give up a lot, but they were focused on making their team better. When you add Sauce Gardner, he's still a good football player. He needs to improve on his technique, but he is definitely going to make this defense better. He makes his team better as a whole. So really, both teams won when you look at the trade.
Now, the matchup here is with Sauce in Drake London. So how do you foresee that shaking out?
Now, that matchup, I mean, if you look at what Drake London just did to Christian Gonzalez from the New England Patriots this past weekend, I mean, it's going to be a real welcome to Indy moment for Sauce Gardner. But again, this is what you want if you're the Indianapolis Colts. You want to see a big-on-big matchup. So you see what you got in the player that you just signed, what you just spent so much draft capital to go out and get. And a name like Sauce Gardner, you want to see him, you want to have him for the big time matchups like this. So him against Drake London is going to be a tall task, but it's going to show the Indianapolis Colts exactly what they're getting in Sauce Gardner from the moment he steps in the building.
Let's go to the Jags, shall we? Because Jakobi Meyers is now a Jacksonville Jaguar, and he is facing a Texan squad this weekend, who, by the way, is not going to have C.J. Stroud, who's dealing with a concussion, still in concussion protocol. If we look at Trevor Lawrence, the completion percentage, all of the statistics, it's really been a disappointing year for him. Not what we expected when we saw Liam Cohen that was going to go in there in Duval and fix Trevor Lawrence, right? And part of that is the connection with his receivers, whether it's Trevor's fault, BTJ, whoever you want to blame. So what are your expectations for T-Law's connection with Jakobi Meyers? How much is he going to elevate Trevor Lawrence and just that offense in general?
Well, he's going to do a lot for Trevor Lawrence in particular. I mean, the offense as a whole, yes, but for Trevor Lawrence, he's going to give him a level of confidence that he hasn't had in Jacksonville in a very long time. Two things that Jakobi Meyers does really well: he gets open and he catches the football. He's led the league in terms of having the fewest drops and the lowest drop percentage out of most receivers in the NFL. And again, he creates separation against man-to-man. He's savvy. He's played in Josh McDaniel's system, so he understands how to get himself open in zone, how to work himself against man, and just be quarterback friendly at all times. So with a down year that Trevor Lawrence is having, I think Jakobi Meyers brings confidence more than anything when it comes to this offense and what he can do.
And Mac Jones reportedly sent Trevor Lawrence a text saying, hey, you're going to love him. He's one of my favorite players that I've ever played with. All right, so another wide receiver trade. We had New Orleans sending Rashid Shaheed over to Seattle. So what do you think he's going to look like this weekend as they go up against a Cardinals squad in the division? We know those games can get a little wonky.
Well, I think he's going to look good because whenever he's playing beside Jackson Smith and Jigba, and he's playing with a quarterback like Sam Darnold, who's getting the ball out masterfully, and a run game supported by Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, I mean, he's going to look really good because he's playing in a better offense to where he's not going to be the focal point. He might be the second guy, and that's good for a guy like him. He can get open. All the attention is going to go elsewhere, and he's going to shine because he's a very, very special player. He's explosive. He's dynamic. He's sure-handed. He can do a lot of things very, very well. I think his talent was just, it was hard to see, and it was hard for him to really have a lot of success in that New Orleans Saints offense because clearly nothing is going right there with that team.
Damien, JSN has had a phenomenal year so far. We've talked about him as like potential MVP sleepers, maybe a long shot, but still he's been in those conversations. So with the addition of Rashid Shaheed, what does that mean for JSN and how much more open he's going to be?
Well, he doesn't need any help getting open. I mean, we saw that against poor Amos, the DB from the Commanders last week. Lord, he doesn't need help getting open, but adding a guy like Shaheed will definitely increase more one-on-one opportunities for him because you've got another guy that can stretch the field, another guy that the defense has to worry about. So it's just going to get him more one-on-one coverage as opposed to having 2 or 3 guys on him at all times. But I will emphasize again, Jackson Smith and Jigba, he does not need any help. Granted, he will enjoy having another guy beside him that can do all of those things, especially with Cooper Kupp not being available more recently. But everybody's going to benefit from this trade in the Seattle offense.
Yeah, JSN, by the way, on pace to be the very first 2,000-yard receiver in the NFL, which is absolutely crazy. All right, New Orleans was not done dealing with just that. They also dealt Trevor Penning to the Chargers. His status versus the Steelers is still to be determined according to Harbaugh, but how do you see him matching up with, I don't know, some guys like, say, TJ Watt?
Well, good news for the Chargers. They went out and got him, and they need him for situations like this. I mean, no Rashawn Slater, no Joe Alt. I mean, the theme, the flavor of the week every week for the Chargers is how do we protect Justin Herbert? If not, we're wasting his prime years right now. So that's a great addition to their offensive line. Now, how is he going to fare against the Steelers defense, who, by the way, just made Indianapolis look like a high school football team on offense and took the ball away 6 times? Again, you want to talk about welcoming moments to a new team. That's going to be it. But again, if you're Harbaugh, if you're Herbert, you want this type of matchup because you want to see what you're going to get in a guy who you need to replace those 2 star tackles that you're missing.
Damien, we appreciate it.